One extra DB Cooper. Okay, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get started, everybody. I have the rundown here. Has the correct information in it.
Ooh, the Rock movie? That's all right.
The rundown starring The Rock and Sean William Scott. Is that who's in that?
Yeah, I think so. And then they do that ridiculous stunt where they fall down a mountain for real.
Yeah, well, that's just, that's what The Rock do. Okay, I am ready. I think what we're going to do now is actually... let me fix one last thing. There we go.
We should fade to pink in honor of Barbie.
Yay. I still haven't seen that. I haven't seen any new movie.
It's very good. I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm going to catch up on all of them here eventually. Maybe after all the video games. Okay.
Yeah, so November.
Yes. Of 2025. Okay. Let's do this. I am going to count us. Oh, no. Look at that. Now your face is down there. Let me just fix that real quick. That looks better.
I like this new camera angle.
Is it that might be the one only you can see.
Oh, damn, you're fancy.
Yeah, extra fancy. There we go.
I just have the one because otherwise you can see all the dust on these shelves, and just cleaning one of these takes like an hour.
Yeah, cleaning shelves sucks. Okay. All right, now we're ready. So we are going to fade to black as I count to 5, and then we're going to get started. So here we go. In 5, 4, 3.
Yummy like a gummy bear.
It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 11th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, Rockstar is embracing the role-playing community, and somehow Sony isn't happy with PS5 sales. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host of Game Mess Mornings. It's Jesse Don Cabeza Norris. Jesse, how are you doing?
I am doing wonderful. I'm in the final preparation for non-stop game releases that doesn't end for 3 months.
Yep, it is upon us. The season is upon us. John Madden saw his shadow and just pooped out like 50 games. So here it is. Games aren't even waiting for John Madden anymore. We're gonna get we've already gotten a couple things this month. We're gonna get a few more things. It's all just happening with relentlessly this year. It's been a lot. I continue to play Pikmin 4 and really enjoy it. It is fun to play Pikmin 4 while everyone else is freaking out about Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm just like, you guys want to talk about Pikmin? And everyone's like, no, we're fucking over here. That's how we're living our lives. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm leaving the Pikmin alone. I'm not doing that to them. That's weird. So yeah, that's my life. But I don't know, Jesse, how are you keeping up with all these games?
Barely. I don't know. I did Atlas Fallen. It's all right. It's gonna get crushed because of its release window. Just finished up and made the review for Shadow Gambit, which I can't say anything about because it's not until next week when it comes out. But that is from the Shadow Tactics and Desperados team, Mimimi Games. They make really good real-time-ish strategy stuff, and so going from that, then immediately going to Armored Core, hopefully. Then after that, immediately going to Starfield, and we've also got Immortals, and then we've got Sea of Stars, and then it just keeps going in September, and it never freaking stops. Even just covering one platform for Xbox has been insanely difficult this year, which is why every time I see people say no games, I say,
I'll throttle you.
I want to bop you one.
Exactly.
There's too much everywhere. If we covered everything, we'd need a team 10 times the size. It's been a crazy year.
Yep, and looks like something could still happen with hardware. Do you see that there's a leak? I didn't put it in the news because it's hard to verify that PlayStation 5 Slim image that's going around. Everyone's talking about.
That's weird because I heard, so there were rumors that it was going to be pretty much the same, just a little smaller, and then an image hits that's pretty much the same, just a little smaller.
Yeah,
one feed the other, like you never know.
Yeah, it's little
really
tweak.
Ugly.
Yeah, well, yeah,
really, really ugly.
The PS5's out.
Fine by me.
It doesn't care. It loves to be ugly. There's like a little like line through the middle, like of the paneling.
A little less of a popped collar, a little tiny bit smaller.
I don't know. It's easy to buy, easy to believe.
And that would be the one that would have it would look even stupider probably once you attach the optional hard drive.
Right. Although it is like, so it's like 4 panels. It looks like, so like 2 on the top, 2 on the bottom. Maybe like one of those panels pops off and the drive slots in really handsomely into this thing or whatever. Then you can
with how they've been with hardware ever since the PS4 Pro, I'm gonna guess it's not gonna look good no matter what.
Yeah, probably not. It's gonna look like an HD DVD drive just dangling off the side, more than likely. Okay, we have a lot to get into. Let's talk about what we do here first. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with Rockstar just made a big investment in Grand Theft Auto role-playing. This comes from Michael McWhirter at Polygon. Rockstar Games announced Friday that it had acquired CFX.RE, the team behind Grand Theft Auto 5 mod 5M and Red Dead Redemption 2 mod Red M, 2 popular mods that power custom multiplayer and robust role-playing experiences on those games. Over the past few years, we've watched with excitement as Rockstar's creative community have found new ways to expand the possibilities of Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2, particularly through the creation of dedicated roleplay servers. That's a quote from the studio. It's available on the Rockstar Newswire website. As a way to further support those efforts, we recently expanded our policy on mods to officially include those made by the roleplay creative community. And then now that's done with a quote. Rockstar's acquisition of the CFX.RE team, the studio says, will help them find new ways to support the incredible community and improve the services they provide to their developers and players. Grand Theft Auto 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 already have robust multiplayer components, but 5M and Red M go further, letting players use custom vehicles, maps, and weapons, and inhabit those game worlds as virtually anyone. On Friday, at time of publication, the 5M website said that more than 170,000 players were using the mod on custom servers. Jesse, this felt for a while pretty inevitable that Rockstar would have to go in and do something about the role-playing servers in terms of bringing it into, the family and saying, when we put out a Grand Theft Auto 6, I mean, all the games we put out in the future, when they have big online modes, they are going to have some integration ready to go for role-playing. And this feels like them saying, let's just do the whole hog. Let's just do the damn thing. Let's go get the team that does these things and make it native in the game or native, close to native. Maybe it's just one more install going forward, but making sure it's officially supported. And that's not too surprising, as we've seen Grand Theft Auto role-playing servers continue to be some of the biggest and most popular things on Twitch, for example.
The moment there's a lot of money to be made, it was going to be it's kind of like emulation. The moment emulation starts possibly touching, like when Xbox finally went after retail emulation, it wasn't because of Nintendo or Sony. It's because they started doing 360 games. And they're like, hey, no, we offer those and back compat and we make money off that. You're not doing it.
Yep.
And with this is how GTA is popular for people watching it on Twitch. So if you want to get into that and promote that, like, they're not making any money. They're not going to do it themselves by default until it's their thing.
Yes.
So it was either they're gonna take the PR hit and kill it, and kill this thing that's making a ton of money, or be like, okay, we get our piece, because that's what Take-Two is obviously very much all about. Yep.
And you can see, I mean, I know everyone's already, the wheels are turning. Everyone's imagining how Rockstar is going to be able to make money off of this. Incorporating stores into the role-playing servers and stuff like that. That'll be a thing. I do wonder, like, where Rockstar will draw the line, because it's like, just let people bring their own stuff in, like, and express themselves. That's a big part of the role-playing community servers. How much of that are you going to stop? Or, my imagination is it will be a lot like Minecraft, because Minecraft has a store, but even on like the Windows version, they opened up the tools so you could just make whatever you want in there. So if you want to make your own skins, like when they were introducing the store, like, here's the thing. And then, if your stuff's good, just put it in the store. Like, just do that. You could sell your stuff. it's the Robloxification of it all. Like
but with less IP theft than Roblox.
Right. Well, listen, that's a low bar or high bar to come under. Yeah, it's they will almost certainly find a number of ways to monetize this. It's just that's going to be a balance that they're going to have to maintain of keeping those fans happy and not upset that like, oh, Rockstar ruined this because they're trying to charge a bunch of money. Like, we didn't come here to be in your ecosystem, your in-game economy.
If there's one company you can trust microtransaction wise, it's 2K.
Yep. Definitely. And yeah,
I can get that out.
Yeah. And then but user generated content, yeah, that is where all these companies see a big potential to make a lot of money, and this is a platform exactly for that. So and people are if you do empower creators to sell things to each other, that's maybe one big way to get around these things, is to say, well, that encourages more development, and we're just going to take a cut. You guys are selling stuff to each other. Like, someone made a cool thing, you want that thing, well, they're selling it to you. So it's
it's what happened a lot with Bethesda with their modding community and them hiring people out of it and stuff like that. You see it more and more. It happened with 343 and all the forgers and them becoming employees. So I just rarely trust Take-Two on any of this, but I'm hopeful and happy to be wrong.
Yep. This is the role-playing scene has continued to be popular. Marino pointed out in chat, it's not as popular as it was during the pandemic, but nothing is. But it's maintained. I know there's several streamers that I've followed for a long time who are just now basically doing that full-time role-playing in Grand Theft Auto, and their audiences have continued to grow. People are hungry for that content, and I think it's something that Grand Theft Auto and potentially Red Dead Redemption going forward, but Rockstar at the very least can do that very other few companies would be able to pull off. Like, if Rockstar wants to introduce Grand Theft Auto 6 with Grand Theft Auto Online 2, and then there's also role-playing stuff going along with all that, I do believe that they can actually make that work and actually make something successful out of that. Where if another company tried to come in there and be like, we see GTA Online roleplay doing really well, we're going to try to make our own one of those, I think that would be very challenging. Especially
because, like, even the RP scene is many years and different iterations of getting to where it is now. If you go back and look at some of the early stuff, it's super janky. But I imagine Rockstar's main thing is just going to be defining rules on what you can and can't do. And otherwise, it mostly runs itself, and it's people making stuff. And a lot of those people who are making it were the ones running the servers. So if they are now Rockstar employees, it probably won't change too much. Mm-hmm. And it's just going to be, you can use our stuff now. You can officially use our stuff now. Probably, I wouldn't imagine characters and whatnot, but some other stuff you can more easily use, because it would actually get pretty mad if you use too many official textures and whatnot. But like throwing the Joker in there and Batman, that type of stuff probably won't be as common as it used to be. Yeah, it'll be similar to like how Bethesda official mods work versus the Wild West of just getting mods on PC however you want. And it's you go to Nexus Mods, you can turn any Bethesda game into full on Baldur's Gate 3 bear sex if you really feel like it. Exactly, yes, and they do not empower you to do that through their official mod support. Although official mod support's still pretty good. I wonder if more people will try role playing if it's like, if it feels official, if it feels like, oh, this is something, because like it's something where I look at like we could do that. We should be able to go and do role-playing. It's massively multiplayer online co-op. Yeah, it's like gonna be the most popular thing, because the people that don't want PvP, that do just want to hang out and mess around with other people, it's perfect for that if you find the right group of people to play with. Right, and it's that's the thing right now where it's like I look at No Pixel, the big role playing server that everyone points to as like this is a great example of really funny content and stuff like that. They they're invite only. It's pretty hard to get in. Like, even if you know people, it's like do I want to put myself in a situation where I have to like commit to behaving in a certain way, and like if we get invited, like, do I bring Dan Reichert in there and like will he get it? It's like, well, no, probably not. So is there like another place we can go? I think if Rockstar had an official thing where it's like, we've put like a few barriers on here to like let you experience it in a safe playground area where the only people you're going to upset are this giant corporation. And it's like, okay, that's one thing. And then I think that would be like, that would feel like I would like
experiment with that. And then later, if all these other servers still exist, like that's like, okay, now that we find that this is really fun, maybe we can go on to NoPixel or whatever else.
Yeah, I think even NoPixel, they had a public server, which was just more of the Wild West mess around, versus the whitelisted server, which is where you've got to apply and you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to follow the rules and I'm going to always stay in character. And because there's a lot of people streaming and there's a lot of people doing it seriously. But there are ones you can just go in and learn the ropes. Yeah, publicly.
I'm sure there is, but I think something about
like dangerous to stream on.
Right. Yes. And it's like the that still feels like I expect those to be like playing with play money and like playing poker with fake money, where it's like, this isn't actually indicative of what the real thing that everyone looks to as the real thing would feel like. And I know something about it being official.
There's a lot of control stuff that's really unique per server. So they're really good for jumping in, because that's what I've done. I've just jumped in, figured out how things work on that server and that version of the mod. And then once you get all that down, it makes it a hell of a lot easier. So you're not feeling like you're learning while you're on the official one. You really want to put on a show.
Yes, and I think making something official that is similar to that, I think is the next step towards opening this up to even more people. Although role playing is always going to be for a specific audience. Just it turns out that audience much bigger and more passionate than I think people might have once predicted.
It's improv comedy for the most part, and mix of drama and stuff. Like, it's people like that. Yep, especially if you're good at it.
Yep, and I think it's going to have a place in gaming content going forward for forever, I expect, because people really enjoy that kind of thing.
Really curious if people try and mod that into Starfield, because they've already been trying to mod it into Skyrim, like big Skyrim co-op, and it's really cool.
I think Skyrim makes a lot of sense, because that's the kind of game where you do the mod where you just start as some random character in that world, and like that's almost more fun at this point. So it's like, if you could just do that and then other people are inhabiting it, that could be very neat. Sony says the reaction to its price drop has been weak in the UK. This comes from Jordan Midler at VGC. Sony has said its recent PS5 price cut hasn't yet led to the reaction it had hoped for in the UK. As transcribed by Seeking Alpha, Sony COO Hiroki Totoki said during the company's recent financial call by regions, currently in Japan, the sales are strong, and the same holds true for Asia and North America. The response to the promotion has been quite favorable. In United Kingdom, it's a bit weak, but Europe as a whole has been performing quite well. We kind of talked about like this deal and some of the stuff, but previously was like, it's doing very well according to GfK, the tracking thing, and that's what we talked about yesterday. Apparently, Sony's seeing these numbers, and they're like, oh, it's up 40%, 70%, and by some measures, it's up 500%. Sony still not happy with that. They said PS5 hardware sales were 3.3 million units for the first quarter, a significant increase of 38% year on year. This amount is somewhat less than expected progress towards our fiscal goal. They do go on to say, like, hey, we dropped the price to try to juice these hardware sales, because that's our primary goal right now, is to get to 25 million sold by the end of the fiscal year. And to do that, like in certain territories like the UK and really a lot of other places as well, we are significantly cutting the price. And that led to PS5 sales were up 73%, and then for the year, and then up 47% compared to, I think, the week before, in terms of before the deal went into effect. But Sony said, it did not lead to the sprint to pick up PS5s that they thought they would see. And I'm just like, it's selling faster than ever before. How is this not fast enough, Jesse?
I think their entire goal this entire generation has been, we want to get so far ahead that once Xbox's their purchases and everything start hitting, they just can't catch up in any meaningful way. And so for them, they wanted to have everything right away, and then they didn't. It all got delayed into 2021, 2022. They still had some stuff in 2020 where Xbox only had ports, really. So they wanted to put the nail in this generation, and I don't think they feel like they have, because even though we get so used to big numbers and consoles sold and that being the metric, that in the end, it just comes down to, well, how much money are you making every quarter? And they're still making more than anyone, but they're not an insane amount ahead of Xbox and Nintendo like they want to be. So they want as much of, the market's this size, and they want every bit of it that they can get, as where Phil's talked about before. He wants a bigger market, where even if he keeps the same size or it only grows a little, it's a much bigger market. So you're just making way more, which is all shareholders care about. So in the end, they want these enormous numbers right away. They probably want every PlayStation they ship to sell. And so if it's not as much as they were hoping for, then I just have to guess they're still selling really well. They're just not selling out nonstop like they had been before when they had less supply.
Yeah, and it's Sony has said it's selling about as fast as the PS4 now when you line them up. Like in terms of like month to month at this point, it's selling faster than the PS4, the PS5 is. But if you like line it up from launch for both systems, the PS5 was about 2 months behind the pace, and that was almost entirely due to a lack of consoles in the supply chain. Now that that's been solved, though, it feels like it's going to race past that, and it might have already done so. Like we might already be there because it's selling that fast.
And there is an issue too where, like, the economy's not great, so things are going to slow down. But capitalism doesn't care. It just is like, well, I can fire all these people, like you see with Microsoft, even though they're making more money than ever. Like they hired nonstop in the pandemic, and they're like, okay, don't need you all now.
Yep.
See you later. Like all the corporations will just do that. And it's like, well, instead of pulling back on executive bonuses and other things, take out the little guys, everything we can do to make our numbers look as good as possible, because that is all that really matters in the end.
This, the way that Sony is positioning this is, hey, this is about meeting that huge target that we said. But, I continue to say it probably is also about that slim system, right? Like they want to get a lot of these out of the stores, out of retail, out of their, shipment centers or whatever, so they can make room for the slim and launch that and not have that sit next to a bunch of these systems for a while, right?
Yeah, keeping anything in storage costs a lot of money. So like it's not just, well, we made these, we've now shipped these. It's like, well, if you ship them and you got to wait and they only have so much space in each store and you're just holding things and you're waiting, there's always the numbers game of trying to match demand without outpacing it, because then you're just paying money to have things sit in stock.
Yep, exactly. So they are looking to reduce the possibility of that happen by any means, and that means actually even cutting the price. Do you think the this sales deal, this cutting the price, will have any effect on how they position the price of the Slim or a bundle including the Slim? Because
I hope so, because they went up.
They did go up.
I was hoping at the very least the Slim would go back down to 5.
Yeah, to 500.
I was hoping 4 would be great when you're this deep in, but they're selling nonstop, so there's no point. They're not going to cut the price severely unless they want to be super aggressive, and their actual manufacturing costs have dropped down, because I think that's the reason you barely ever see the Series X on sale, is because the thing still costs a lot of money to make, comparative to what they sell it at.
Mm-hmm.
So if they can get the Slim down and the DVD drive or Blu-ray drive isn't some crazy amount of money, like $400, $450, and then you're adding $50 to $100 for the drive, then yeah, it'll definitely help a lot, because that $550 and more globally, it didn't really change much. That's why I'm always curious. They just kept selling. So I do wonder, will they even bother dropping much?
Right.
Is it just going to be about aggression? Because it doesn't seem like they have to.
Yep. And that's the thing here. It's like, so they have a chance to reset the pricing, and I think, especially if the Slim comes in with more storage, I think they will easily keep it at least at the same price that it's been, or like you said, go back down to the original price worldwide. Either way, I do not think that they will not have something on the shelves that there's going to be something on the shelves that is $500. Like they want $500 to be the price, and they don't need like their main PS5 to be $400 compared to Xbox's $500. Because everything's still selling. The pace is really good, and why take that significant hit when they don't have to? I just don't expect them to.
And if they've got the Pro coming in, a year or two after that, then that can be. Then maybe you go $450, $550, or $600, depending on it.
Yes.
So,
and that's similar to kind of what happened with the. With PS4, not exactly. There's some differences, but the Pro came in and maintained that high price point, but didn't go up by any significant amount. Maybe this does, but probably not. And then the previous model, and then eventually the Slim would just kind of slot in about $100 cheaper or whatever. So, yep, that seems to be probably how they'll handle it here. Okay, Destiny 2 taps Keith David as Zavala to replace the late Lance Reddick. This is from Ethan Gotch at Kotaku. Ever since John Wick and The Wire actor Lance Reddick suddenly and unexpectedly passed away earlier this year, Destiny 2 fans have been wondering what would become of his iconic character, Commander Zavala. Today, Bungie announced that veteran actor Keith David, beloved for his video game work in Halo and Mass Effect, will take over in 2024's The Final Shape expansion. Lance's iconic voice led us through the most intense moments in Destiny's history, and his impact on our Guardians, our community, and Bungie as a whole will never be forgotten. Bungie announced and that's Bungie, a quote, and they announced that on August 10th, yesterday. Keith David, a prolific actor on stage and in television, films, and games, will assume the English language voice of Zavala in The Final Shape and beyond. Separately, Lance's existing lines in game will remain untouched for the upcoming release. This is, I think, this is cool. This is right. I think Keith David can really take over that role, do well. Keith David put out a really nice message talking about Lance Reddick and the work he's done, and it was really sweet and touching. And I love Lance Reddick. I love Keith David. This is pretty cool, I think, and it's nice to see an actor be like, just pay respects, say I'm just gonna do my best to live up to Lance, and Keith David can do that. So hey, shout out to this. I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, going from one great actor with an incredible voice to another great actor with an incredible voice, and yeah, it's about the best choice I think they could have made.
I mean, I think it's like a testament to like how good Lance Reddick's voice. If Keith David is who they needed to get to replace you, right? Keith David, an all-time voice actor, known for the timbre of his voice and all that, and it's like Lance Reddick was right there with the same level of gravitas when he spoke. So absolutely. This was probably the right choice, and it seems like they handled it pretty well. Do you think there was any consideration of them like being like, well, maybe we should just leave Zavala behind or something like that? Or it's like
I don't keep up all the time with Destiny 2, especially because game releases are so crazy, but he's super integral to the story. Yes. He's just been one of the driving forces behind it. So I think a lot of people are like, well, it'd be really weird if he just kind of disappeared suddenly, and it wouldn't feel right if they killed him off in the game. That would be, but getting someone really good, and it's been like super respectful. It just was a tragic out of nowhere thing, losing Lance Reddick. So keeping the character going, I think, is the best call, both for the game and for the fans, and the way they've handled it has been pretty damn good.
Yes, agreed. Let's see here. I was gonna get this going, but I'll do that in a second. All right, let's move on here. Metroid Dread developer Mercury Steam is working on 2 unannounced games. This is from My Nintendo News. Now that Mercury Steam has finished Metroid Dread, there has been a lot of questions about what the developer is going to make after Metroid. Well, there's somewhat of an answer to that yesterday, according to a financial report from Nordisk Games, which owns a 40% stake in Mercury Steam. Mercury Steam is currently working on 2 large undisclosed titles. We already know that one of them is an action RPG being developed with 505 Games. However, the other game is not known, though some fans think it could be a new 2D Metroid. You could see a tweet relaying the matter that went out from someone that was covering the Nordisk news. Spanish developer Mercury Steam is currently working on 2 large undisclosed titles, according to Nordisk Games financials. Mercury Steam is best known for Castlevania Lords of Shadow and 2021's Metroid Dread. One of these games is a dark fantasy, and then not one of those, but like one of the games they're working on is that dark fantasy third-person action RPG developed in conjunction with 505 Games, and that was announced in November 2021. Mercury Steam has steadily grown to a team of more than 200 developers, up from 160 in 2020. I think it's very likely that they are also working on a Metroid follow-up. It makes sense because Metroid Dread, did pretty well for a Metroid game, and also like they were designing the 2D Metroid in a way that felt like, they have laid down a foundation here that they can build on going forward, and they could just do basically a direct sequel to this and continue that. And we can get one of those every 3 to 5 years, and that would be pretty cool. What do you think?
I hope so. I joked about Metroid Prime on Mortal Kombat just to set Mike off, but I really enjoyed Metroid Dread. I'm not a huge fan of unkillable enemies, but I think the way the game handled it and all that, it was fun. I didn't do the Nick thing and shoot every goddamn wall to get everything completed and done, but I really enjoyed it. So I hope they are. Didn't it also have like some development issues and troubles.
So yes, that was the going to be the other side of this. Is Mercury Steam is not known for, but there was some reports that it was chaotic development, and the people from Mercury Steam have come out since then and be like, would a chaotic game lead to 3 million in sales? And it's like, well, yeah, that happens all the time. It's a lot of it's probably crunch. A lot of it could be a stressful work environment beyond that. But yes, there was definitely reports of there being some problems at Mercury Steam. That scrutiny hopefully maintains so that we could see if that happens again for these games. But it's definitely something that hopefully they can avoid. But I do believe Nintendo has not like cut ties with Mercury Steam or anything like that. It does seem like they want to keep working with them. That would then hopefully come with that increased level of scrutiny.
I don't think Nintendo worries that much about crunch. It's very different, because everything I've always heard about Japanese studios is that you're just expected to work extremely hard. That's just the culture.
Right.
So
yeah, and it's
looking at it from our perspective, we look at it and go, "Oh my God," but then we don't live there. I don't know it that well, so I don't feel right commenting on it all the time.
Right. I mean, there's definitely concerns with crunch in Japan, Japanese game studios, and they just their quality of life is just way better and everything else. Their cost of living is just way lower, and the money they get paid goes so much further that they make up for it maybe some other ways. But yeah, crunch is still a problem in Japan for sure. And you're right. So it's like that's probably not something that they are looking to eliminate from the studios that they partner with, but they also want to avoid problematic headlines that make it look like Nintendo doesn't care. That's something they want to avoid as well. It's you don't really get those stories out of many of the Japanese studios. So if this studio in Spain is causing that headaches like that probably would draw some of the attention of Nintendo, and they would try to do something about it. But I don't think that's something would involve not making another successful game that it's probably going to sell pretty well, especially keeping like Metroid in people's the front of mind for them in between these big 3D games that are going to take a long time to develop.
They will eventually have a new system out, and they're going to want to have a lot of stuff for it early. Again, because it really helped with the Switch.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, having representation from each of their big franchises in the first couple of years of the next Switch. They basically said that was their strategy when they were talking about.
Maybe it's a 2D Kid Icarus game.
Well, that would be fun too. But I want them to bring.
What can you do with those eggplants in this day and age? You can probably do something pretty naughty.
You can take them out there and introduce them to the bear and say, "Hey, look at that guy. You can fuck that thing." I'm hopeful that we get a new Metroid 2D game as well. I hope so. And Nintendo says, like you mentioned, like every franchise they want to have like at least one entry per system, and I think that having a 2D Metroid on the Switch too pretty soon would be great. Confusion arises over whether Modern Warfare 3 is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Confusion is arising among players as to whether Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is coming to last-gen consoles. As spotted on Twitter by YouTuber The Gaming Revolution, the official Xbox page for Modern Warfare 3 only lists Xbox Series X and S as the game's planned platforms. However, The Gaming Revolution also notes that the official PlayStation YouTube account has posted the Modern Warfare 3 teaser trailer with PS5 and PS4 games in the headline. The video also includes the hashtag PS5, PS5 games, PS4, PS4 games. There are three potential reasons for the discrepancy. The PlayStation YouTube channel puts either PS5 games or PS5 and PS4 games in all its trailer headlines, so it could be that the employer responsible for naming the videos made an error and included PS4 when the game isn't coming to that format. Another possibility is that the game is indeed coming to last-gen systems and that the Xbox page is therefore at fault. The third possible reason is that both sites may in fact be accurate and the game is coming to PS4 but not Xbox One. What do you think is happening here, Jesse?
So I go through the Xbox website a ton for reviews and covering stuff and all that. And generally, the way they list their games now is if the purchase gets you the game on multiple platforms, it shows them in that playable on section.
Yes.
But Activision obviously doesn't do smart delivery. So normally it should say Modern Warfare 3, Xbox Series X and S at the top. And that would indicate that that's the version for that. Maybe they just didn't put up the page for Xbox One.
Yeah.
I have to look and
that's
see.
That's where I lean, because
it's probably going to.
Modern Warfare 3 is supposed to have this massive amount of continuity from Modern Warfare 2, which just came out last year and did come to the last-gen systems. So it would be awkward if you couldn't do that continuation on the Xbox One where you bought Modern Warfare 2. Like, you bought it there, and now this new game's coming out and saying, now bring all that stuff you did over there into this next game right now. And they're like, Activision's like, nah, we're not gonna do that. You get on the new system or something like that.
Yeah, so like they've got a splash screen for Modern Warfare 3 and the big reveal that's happening next week, and it just says console.
Yeah, right.
Under it. So it's going to be on everything. That'd be really weird if it wasn't.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's going to be everywhere, and I think this is probably just some confusions in how it's being put out there. But they probably do move on from last-gen consoles next year, right?
Something new? You'd think so?
Like, that's about how much time it took last gen, and maybe this is a little bit more. But that also makes sense to a certain extent.
They'll be owned by Microsoft by then, barring any insane thing. And Microsoft is pretty much if you just want to do next gen, do it.
Yep.
Like they're not. They've moved on more quickly than pretty much anyone at this point, which is really funny after all the kerfluffle around launch with the "we believe in generations" and all that stuff.
Marino doing the Don Matrick. We have a Modern Warfare 3 for you. It came out 12 years ago. Yep, that's right. If you want to play it, it's available. There you go. All right. Overwatch 2 is released on Steam and is then immediately review bombed. This is from Chris Scullion at VGC.
It kind of earned it.
Yep. Overwatch 2 has been released on Steam and has immediately been met with a deluge of negative reviews. The game launched on Steam on Thursday. At the time of this writing, 15 hours have passed, and the Overwatch 2 Steam page now has more than 25,000 reviews, of which Steam says they are overwhelmingly negative. Steam's stats say that only around 14% of the users submitted reviews are positive, with many players taking the opportunity to criticize the game's free-to-play structure and its ditching of the much-hyped hero missions. While it retains its charming design, wonderful cast of characters, and some of the best multiplayer maps I've ever played on, Overwatch 2 brought a few enormous fundamental downgrades that leaves it critically flawed, reads one of the reviews tagged most helpful on Steam. This was bound to happen, and I think it shouldn't be too much of a surprise to Blizzard and to Activision. They are just going to have to push through this, right? That's what happens when you have a game that is in this situation. You got to push through and try to get to the other side. Yeah, and in a couple years, when it says mostly positive again, they can be like, "Hey, look what we did," and be proud of that. But it's going to take a couple of years.
It's a very angry fan base to begin with, but also buying DLC didn't work. I don't know if it does yet, but people were trying to buy their battle passes and their PvE unlocks, which is so when you buy something and it doesn't work, you definitely immediately leave a very angry review.
One of the key things that causes people to leave bad reviews. Yes.
And the monetization behind the missions is bad. It's $15, but so it's $15. Normally the season pass is $10. I think some people don't realize you can either spend $15 and just get the 3 missions, or you can do the bundle, spend $15, get the 3 missions and enough coins for the battle pass. But when you do that and it doesn't work, you get very mad. Also, it's 3 missions. They're about 2 hours long because it's 3 missions out of, according to the UI, about 14.
Mm-hmm.
And is it going to be $15 every time for 3? Like, there's just a lot of anger around it because the game's really fun. New hero is really good. It looks good. It runs great. I really enjoy it, but thanks to Bobby Kotick making them call it Overwatch 2, supposedly, allegedly, and a bunch of other various monetization factors where people are like, loot boxes really aren't that bad when you can earn them so often. It's spiraled down, player engagement's down, all these different things. And in the end, I do think things like the Game Pass Ultimate perk, which hit yesterday, where you get all the new characters and one skin for them, like Xbox won't do shitty monetization. They get yelled at way too hard by their fan base, so they just are like, oh, Jesus Christ, no, we won't. And the Halo system, as bemoaned as Halo's been since its launch, where they just did not have any content for like 2 years, their monetization system should be the standard, where your battle passes never expire. All the seasonal events are always completely free. Nothing in the store is FOMO. It's just always there. You can always get it.
Yeah.
And I really hope that they start pushing that into more of these acquisitions, because Bethesda doesn't do a ton. ESO was already always fine. Fallout 76 was fine. But if they can turn around some of In a little bit, because Activision makes way too much money for them to change it completely. But if they can lessen the shittiness, then I think people will be very happy.
Yeah, and it's something that, again, that probably will happen slowly because Overwatch is very valuable, and the Blizzard and eventually Microsoft, they're going to want to steward it back to a place of respectability, and that'll be worth it. And there's roadmaps out there for how to accomplish that, and they'll be able to probably slowly push this back into a place where people feel good about it. But it'll take time, and obviously right now people on Steam are just gonna be like, well, we're gonna let you have this shellacking, and we'll check back in a couple years. It's tainted right now. Overwatch 2, kind of similar to what happened with Halo Infinite, where people just like felt bad about playing it because everyone was always complaining, and that's a real thing, and you really have to worry about that, and you'll have to. So I think Overwatch 2 is going to have to bring in that new group, and the good news is for them. Being free to play on Steam, they're probably going to be exposed to a lot of new players going forward that they wouldn't have been otherwise, and that will give them a chance to build up that positive word of mouth again. But we'll see if they can pull that off. Researchers find China's game time limits were ineffective in reducing excessive play. This comes from Brendan St. Clair at gamesindustry.biz. China has imposed strict game time limitations for minors, partly out of concerns they could develop addictions. But a new paper published in Nature Human Behavior found no evidence that the rules have had any impact on excessive gaming at all. The researchers partner with Unity to examine more than 7 billion hours of playtime and around 2.4 billion Chinese gamer profiles from mid-August of 2019 to mid-January 2020. A span of time that includes the imposition of an hour-and-a-half daily playtime limit for minors or 3 hours on holidays. We'll get into this, but just real quick, is this story saying that Unity, and I'm not too surprised that this is the fact, but that Unity like basically can track the telemetry of people using games made in Unity, like period? Is that, you think that's where this data is coming from? Is that Unity, like, if you're making a game in Unity, all that telemetry gets reported back to the developer and to Unity itself, so that it has this massive trove of data about how people play a bunch of different games all around the world?
I wouldn't be surprised if that was just a thing the Chinese government wants. They want to have all that information, and in the meantime, Unity also gets access to it because the government there just really wants to know what everyone's doing all the time. It's
weird that Unity could have all that information and still be kind of bad at everything it's doing. But that's Johnny Ricatella.
Why is my my MetaQuest 2 $300 when it costs them about $700 to make? It's because telemetry. They wanted telemetry data. So all these companies, that's like one of the main things they go after is data. You click accept on all your EULAs every time without reading a single word, and they're happy.
And 2.4 billion Chinese gamer profiles. That's a lot of Chinese gamer profiles. Is there 2.4 billion Chinese people? I thought it was like 1.2.
No, okay. It's a little over one, I thought. So it's probably people that are like 5-manning World of Warcraft.
Yes, exactly. So okay,
gotta farm that gold.
Right. I might actually reach out to Unity and get some clarification about some of this stuff. But either way, so heavy gaming was defined as an individual playing for 4 or more hours a day, 6 or more days per week. The researchers found no credible evidence for overall reduction in the prevalence of heavy playtime following the implementation of regulations. In fact, they found players were slightly more likely to engage in heavy gaming after the regulations went into effect, but the game was not enough to be considered statistically meaningful. The work presented provides a case study for understanding how a government's policy decisions affect or do not affect the lives of real people on a grand scale, and forms a blueprint of future data-led public policy, said the study's lead researcher, Dr. David Zindel of the University of New York. It is now possible to tractably analyze billions of hours of direct digital behavior data. This can lead to better and more effective policymaking. Governments, industry stakeholders, and academics should rise to this challenge. Should they? I don't know if they should. I don't know if government, and industry stakeholders or whatever, with all of that data in front of them, have the capacity to accurately process what it means and then to understand what the course of action to take on that stuff is. In fact, the best course of action might be just stand back and stand down. We don't need your help on this stuff. We're cool. Thank you.
I mean, most of them are just going to try and figure out, well, how can we monetize this more?
Right, of course. And I mean, that's the whole point of the data, right? And that's the reason they gather it in the first place, is so that Unity can then sell this information in nice, produced bundles and be like, this is what you need to do if you want to make money. Like, that's the whole idea here. But the idea that it's then being translated, being used for research, you could see on its face how that is a good thing. But even the researchers like, give this to the government, let them make better policies on how to keep kids from playing games. What? What are you talking about? Just chill out on that stuff.
And the industry lobbyists come in and say, no.
Yeah.
Just let us have that now, and then we monetize it and we give you kickbacks.
Oh, yes.
And the government's like, cool.
Yes, exactly. And then we'll do exactly that. There we go. There it is. We lost a headline here at some point. There we go. Gonna keep going here. There's a Pokemon plush that what looks like a penis. Jesse, this
oddly enough, it's a Diglett. I know. I was very excited when I saw it. I immediately shared it to my perverted weeb friends on the Xbox Era Discord.
Yes, this is from Ashley Barton at Kotaku. Good news, the Pokemon Company released a Wiglet plush on its official Pokemon Center store. Bad news, it looks like a dick. That's not a bad news, Ashley. Not a human dick, but like the platonic ideal of an alien dick the U.S. government doesn't want us to know about. Very good. There's not much to be done about that. The water-type Pokemon Wiglet, not to be confused with the similar-looking ground-type Diglett. So it is different from Diglett, but whatever. Apparently, they're a different species.
I haven't played Pokemon in 20 years.
Yeah. Listen, I do not begrudge you that mistake. It is a stringy white worm that is 10 1/4 inches long, to be exact, according to its Pokemon Center description. Debuting in the 2022 open-world role-playing games Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Wiglet loves the beach, though it's shy. It gets cold in the water, I bet. It presents its cocktail sausage-shaped pink nose proudly to society, but it buries the rest of its body deep within the sand. The Pokemon Center accurately represents that as an oblong, sheet white plush with a cheery pinkish tip extending from a puffy patch of ground, or a dick extending from its balls if you glance at it really quickly. In any case, this long Pokeplush version of the Garden Eel Pokemon is ready to stand tall as part of your plush collection, perch on your couch, coffee table, or bookshelf, says the Pokemon Center's description of Wiglet. They know what they're doing, right, Jesse? They know what they're doing over there. I know what they're doing, but do they know what they're doing? Oh, wait, you might be muted. I think you might be muted, Jesse.
Oh, I'm not holding the button. Sorry. I do push to talk because otherwise it's shitty. I think they might just be dildo sheaths they had extras of, and they just made a little Diglett face for it to sell them.
That's upcycling. That's a good way to do things. I should call him, went one popular fan reaction on Twitter. This is going directly up my asshole, said another equal but opposite reaction. In addition to its length, the $25 Wiglet plush boasts honorable girth at 4 3/4 inches, embroidered soft fabric, the Pokemon Center indicates, and its bendable body lets you create custom poses. So you could do puppetry of the Wiglet. Yeah.
You shove a couple of these, you take out the stuffing, you just shove some stuff up in there, and you're good to go.
Yeah, you're just there you go.
You got to make it rigid. You
just got to go rot it up. Just rot it up. Lollipop Chainsaw remake titled Lollipop Chainsaw Repop delayed to summer 2024 as we move on from Wiglet and his turgid self. From Sal Romano at Gematsu, excuse me. Dragami Games has delayed the Lollipop Chainsaw remake from its previously planned 2023 release window to summer 2024, as well as announced its official title to be Lollipop Chainsaw Repop. Platforms were not announced. This is not the only game getting delayed right now. Devolver Digital pretty much delayed everything that it was working
way
on.
Imaginable. Oh, that was so good.
It was a good. They
still got a couple, but they didn't date the couple that are still this year.
Right.
But then like Plucky Squire and other ones going to next year in the Devolver delayed showcase.
Exactly. So I mean, if your game needs more time, I would say now there's never been a better time for a delay than right now.
Get out of August, get out of October, get out of September, maybe November.
Maybe you got Call of Duty. Call of Duty in
January, February. Like you go December through February. I love you if you want to do that. Please.
Yeah. Any of those games, like anything that's like just go in December right now, I think that would be relatively safe. But if you want to get out into early 2024, like that's going to get, a lot of games are going to come out then as well. But it's not going to be as busy as it is right now. Right now just feels relentless.
I know there's like this constant deluge of console war idiots going on about Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm like, thank Christ it is delayed on Xbox, because I have no idea how I could have covered it if it wasn't delayed.
Yep.
Because like I played 3 hours and I got almost nowhere in on PC, and I loved it. And like, boy, I can't wait to review this. I really hope it doesn't come out to like January or February.
Yep.
It's crazy.
I bet they'll figure out how to get that one out relatively quickly, though. So look out for it.
It's really smart on their part, because they moved up a month. They avoid Starfield.
Oh, yeah.
They release right when Starfield is, but on the console that doesn't get Starfield.
Yep.
And then once Starfield's been out for a while, they can release on Xbox, and they've got 3 awesome launches, and it's just really smart.
It is, yes, it is. Really, they played their cards the best way that they possibly could, I think, and they're gonna get rewarded for it in terms of lots of money. That's the theme of today's episode. Okay, what do we got going here? We got a poll from yesterday where we asked, and I'm going to go right here for everybody. Have you ever bought a cosmetic skin in a game that was priced higher than $10? 33% said yes, 67% said no. Is that from yesterday, or is that from the one from before? Oh, no, that's right. That was from the day before. It said 21 hours ago, and I just didn't hit refresh. Have you watched Twisted Metal? There we go. There's the new one. Yes, I binged it is 5%. Yes, I watched it is 6%. 32% said no, but I will. And 58% says no, I won't ever. That's actually pretty good for people who are at least intending to watch it. Because that puts it over, near 50%,
like
12,
a Peacock
40%.
or a Paramount thing. That's pretty good, because they're still building themselves up to where like Disney and Netflix and all them are.
Yep, exactly.
I'm interested, but I'm so sick of spending for streaming services that no. And yes, for the other one, I finally did. I bought the One Punch Man bundle for Overwatch 2 with Microsoft Reward Points, which was like $20.
Yep, it's yes, and I'm kind of like the same with Twisted Metal, where it's like I'm curious, but I'm just gonna keep watching the Lost Flowers.
Christ, you know what? I can watch it. I can give you a press email. They sent me a code for 3 months of Peacock to watch it. So yes, I am going to watch it.
All right, there you go.
Send you that.
Fantastic. And tell me all about it. All right, let's see here. I got a poll question for tomorrow, but before we get to that, Jesse, why don't you tell people
a Wiglet question for tomorrow?
Well, for Monday too. That's all. But listen, you see Wiglet and you just can't even think straight anymore. Jesse, where can people find you and your Wiglet?
On the Xbox Era OnlyFans that Nick keeps talking about wanting to do. But it's xboxera.com. We are patreon.com/Xbox Era. We're doing Sick and Nick Flicks, our Patreon and YouTube member only movie podcast, because we really needed to get them to stop talking about movies for an hour during the main video game podcast.
Yeah, I understand.
So we've got the stupidest combo of all time tonight. We have Schindler's List, because Nick had never seen it, matched with No Hard Feelings, a R-rated rom-com. It's a weird mix of movies, but
that's fun.
That'll be fun.
That's cool.
It should be good.
I'm excited to hear about that. We actually just started our Columbo podcast, Columbros. Recorded our first episode yesterday, me and Mike. That's right now. It's only for Patreon members and stuff like that. So
I love Columbo.
Yeah,
was the one. That was the Boomer show I would watch growing up.
Yes,
that was the one they were trying to do MASH and some other stuff.
I couldn't. I can't do Matlock. Just keep me over there on Columbo. Excuse me. But it was a lot of fun. That first episode, directed by Steven Spielberg, is just fantastic. Okay, new poll. Have you ever tried GTA role-playing? Yes. No, but I want to. No, but I would try in GTA 6. And just straight up, no. So that is going to be going up on youtube.com/@giantbomb. The community tab there has all our polls. Feel free to vote on that. And we'll get to that on Monday on giantbomb.com. Speaking of giantbomb.com, what do we have happening today? We're going to be doing a UPF. I believe that is happening at 1 p.m. Eastern, everybody. That's 10 a.m. Pacific, so a little bit earlier than the time has been traditionally. We're moving it up a little bit to help, because we're balancing people on two coasts a little bit more. So that's going to help out. 1 p.m. Eastern, look out for that. I think we're playing, we should be able to say it now because we're playing it now. I think the embargo is up. Moving Out 2, I did see a review of that. So yeah, Moving Out 2, we're going to try to play that. That means no Baldur's Gate 3, which I was really trying to do. Maybe I'll find another slot for that. Because that's happening at 1 p.m. though, I might do Mortal Kombat afterward, but there's a couple quick looks me and Mike were talking about recording, so it's all just kind of, we're trying to balance a few things. So
know what's fun? Trying to balance, when you try to balance me in the US, John in the UK, and Nick in Australia. Boy, that's fun. Yeah,
at a certain point, you just gotta be like, Nick, we don't care about your health and sleep safety anymore. You just gotta do it when we can do it. Like, I'm sorry, Australia. deal with it. All right. I think that wraps up just about everything. Jesse, thank you so much for taking time to talk with me about video games today.
And look, my cellular internet held up just fine. I feel happy.
Yeah, so that T-Mobile hotspot really good. I'm so glad that worked out. Just like
that was literally my only option.
Yes, Jesse got a little bit screwed by his ISP, and he was not going to be able to be on the internet for a year.
A day after they said you don't get the internet for a year, I'm like, what the hell? They're like, oh, your IP was hijacked and somebody was using it, but it's your fault. So bye.
Wow.
Like, fuck you, Spectrum.
Jesus. Okay, I have Spectrum, so I gotta.
So they said, "Oh, you downloaded Cyberpunk," and I'm like, "I own Cyberpunk on GOG. I don't have to illegally torrent Cyberpunk." And they're like, "We don't care. Eat shit." Oh, thanks.
Well, I'm glad that the 5G internet future is here for you, so that you're able to get high enough speeds to do this. Yes, it worked really well, so that's fantastic. And you know what? We'll have you back on Game S Mornings here in the future on giantbomb.com.
Never have Nick, but do have John. Because it'd be really fun.
Oh, yeah, trust me. I know the bit. I know what we're doing there. Absolutely. Joe, we'll get John on here. Thanks for watching, everybody. You're the best audience in gaming. I'll see you on Monday. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.